So that happened, and then so they were all fighting, and then people, referees, officials were trying to pull them apart, and then Dolph Ziggler's music hit, and that was the thing that needed to calm everyone down, and everyone just went, and they just sat down normally.
It was like, oh god, Dolph's coming out for a promo, isn't he? Oh god, it should have been me. It's the same promo he's been cutting now for the last 5 years.
Yeah, to be hypercritical, that was so artificial and stupid. And then like Drew came out as well. They had a really calm back and forth promo, just because they don't really have a feud at the moment. It's very low level stuff. And Drew sort of says, well, you get to pick the stipulation for our match at Extreme Rules. And before Dolph could answer with one, the scuffles began again.
Yeah. I was kind of like, so Dolph's whole point was that, you left, your dream kind of died and you had to go away, and you've been working to come back and get into this position, and I'm going to take that away from you. But while you were gone, I was here, and I was like, what, being employed? Like that's what your big claim is? But
that's quite rare in the last few months in WWE.
Yeah, very true. But I was like, it's one of those annoying moments where I wish that WWE would acknowledge that there was wrestling outside of their bubble, because Drew's excellent retort would have been, yeah, I went away and I was champions all over the world. Like, how awesome does that make him sound, that he was a champion all over the world while Dolph was lounging in mediocrity? But instead he has to be like, no, I came back and I achieved my dream. I didn't go anywhere. I went into exile for 9 years.
Yeah, and even maybe take a jab back at Dolph, saying like, well, maybe you should leave too, mate.
Yeah.
Because everyone's been saying that for years and years and years, that Ziggler needs to freshen himself up. That Sasha had a few nice lines in this as well. I really liked, she seems reinvigorated a bit in this feud. Now she's on Raw, saying that she's going to get 2 belts, and that her and Bayley aren't just going to take over both rosters. They're going to take over the whole damn company.
I said this to Alex on the Friday show. I'm actually pulling for Sasha to win here. I want Sasha and Bayley holding all the belts. I'd love that. Love that.
Yeah, it would suck for Asuka. Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. Then this set up a mixed gender tag match for the main event of the show. Sort of a, for Extreme Rules last year with that great intergender match.
I forgot about that. Oh yeah, that was bad, wasn't it?
So after that, we got 100 things happening across 2 segments. So Angel Garza is flirting with the female referee. I can't remember her name. And then Jessica Charlie Caruso comes in and says, oh, were you flirting with her? And, as if she's a bit jealous. And then Zelina Vega says, no, blah, blah, blah. Gonna beat the Viking Raiders, so we're the number 1 contenders. And then Big Show walks in and says, actually, I'm next. So I've got to do this promo. Big Show comes down to do a promo. Zelina Vega and Andrade and Angel Garza come out, interrupt Big Show. Then Ric Flair interrupts everyone, says that Big Show has a cartoon on Netflix. And then the Viking Raiders come out and beat up Garza and Andrade. And then we get that tag match.
Yeah. And you think like, wow, what a long half hour, 45 minutes. Like, no, that was at most 15, like maybe even 10. It was a lot happened in a short space of time.
Yeah, it was like, I don't mind that. It's not my personal tastes, but it certainly made it zip along quite fast. That the main problem I have in this is that Ric Flair is there during a Performance Center outbreak. It's absolutely just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah,
like Orton could be there to cut a promo for. Like, you don't need Flair there.
Well, plus like Vega was already cutting the promos. There were quite enough promos in this segment, but Flair did tease that Orton will attack when Orton wants to, and no Orton on the show at all. Actually, in the end, he didn't attack.
He did not. We'll get that next week. We got a recap of Liv losing and her interaction with Ruby Riott, and that led to a segment with Ruby texting, and the Iconics walked up and said she's got no friends. Ruby said, "Hey, you blew your tag title shot," and challenged one of them to a match later on. And then we cut to Andrade and Garza arguing more. Then Ric Flair walks up to them again and asks to have a meeting. And I mean, you highlighted this brilliantly in your review, but this Andrade Garza storyline is hot trash. It just flips between one segment to the other.
I just thought we were done with this last week when Zelina Vega said, no, they're on the same page now. They're gunning for the tag titles. I'm like, okay, now we can move past all this nonsense infighting, which they've already combusted once, remember, with Austin Theory when he was part of the gang. So we didn't actually talk about the end of the match.
Oh, yeah.
Angel Garza and Andrade start to infight during the match. A match that's, for the number one contendership. And Andrade walks off. Angel Garza gets the Angel Clippers win. And Andrade's angry at Garza for getting them the win. And then they're arguing backstage. And honestly, Ric Flair walks up and everyone just goes, it made them look like such goofballs.
Yeah, it didn't work for me either. Poor old Viking Raiders as well. Like, they lost to a team that couldn't get on. Like, they essentially, they lost when they had such an advantage. So yeah, really, really sucks to be them. So Garza hit the win clipper for the win, and Andrade was really upset about that.
How much more fun would their tag team be if they were just obnoxiously getting along?
I know, right?
It'd be a credible threat, and there'd be an enjoyable screen presence. But they're genuinely getting go-away heat from me. It's the worst thing on the show. Their constant bickering.
Akira Tozawa versus R-Truth for the 24/7 championship. Like,
that
actually
is what it is.
You know what? I mean, I've written here, Truth wins. He beats up, and Ninja tries to pin him. He kicks out. Like, so, yeah, I completely take that back. It was 90 seconds of screen time, including entrances.
Yeah. After that, MVP and Bobby Lashley cut a promo backstage talking about MVP's match with Cruz later on. And then they walk off and they walk past Seth and Buddy, who have their own little bit, and then they walk out for the next segment. So it was a bit of, Alfonso Cuarón, Birdman staging, but I liked it. I thought it worked. We always talk about wanting the backstage area to feel like an interconnected, living, breathing reality. I thought that accomplished it.
There you go. Ollie Davis compared Kevin Dunn to Alfonso Cuarón.
They're in the same league, aren't they?
Birdman, Raw,
So Seth Rollins comes out next, and I thought this was actually really, really good, this whole segment. He's got a purple lucha mask, and he says, I want your forgiveness, Ray. Building it up like Seth's done something wrong, as he has, blinded Ray. But then he says, not for what I've done, but for what I'm going to do to you. I thought it was a really, really nice bit of material. And then we get Rey Mysterio and Dominic interrupt on the Titantron, and Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo come out to face Rollins and Murphy.
Yeah,
you get a pretty decent match.
I love how you describe them as their sort of physical avatars, because they can't be. They're Skyping in for this episode, but it's okay. We've got our physical avatars in the form of Aleister Black and
they're controlling them.
Yeah.
They've got little PS2 controllers playing Here Comes the Pain at Home. I really, really liked. Well, the match was good. One of the things we didn't talk about last week, all the matches were rubbish, really, because they went way too short. They were championship matches. But this week, I thought all the in-ring action was fun.
Well, yeah, they basically just skipped over, the first 10 minutes of a match and just went to the final 5. And so everyone was basically just running around hitting all their big moves and stuff. Not saying that's a bad thing either. It's a TV match. You save the big stuff for the pay-per-view. So, yeah, worked absolutely fine for what it was. And everyone was like, I've got so many notes for this match because they did so much stuff in the short space of time that they had. And the finish sort of came out of nowhere with Rollins getting the stomp on Carrillo for the win. Decent stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed this.
But yeah, the bit I liked the most was the post-match where that you can see the wheels turning in Seth's head, and he gets that purple lucha mask. He puts it on Carrillo, and then again tries to blind Carrillo by putting his eye onto the corner of the steel steps. I just thought it's just a really great, subtle bit of storytelling. It's a message to Ray. There's a sort of, sacrificial element to Seth's cult leader character that he's, hurting the Avatar, almost like he's a life-size, what do you call him, voodoo doll.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like this.
Yeah, I was a big fan of this segment. Along with the Asuka Sasha stuff, this is my favorite part of Raw at the moment. Is this Seth storyline? I'm really, really. I'd like to see more of Ray on the show, rather than him sort of scoping in from various different offices that he has around his house. He's got loads of different places that he tries to Skype in from. Tries to, vary up the backgrounds that he's got. But yeah, I'd like to see some interaction between them. But we've got a couple of weeks before we get to Extreme Rules, the horror show.
He is selling an eye injury.
I was on TV last week.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Then we got Drew and Asuka talking backstage. That was quite cute. A recap of the Undertaker appreciation ceremony on SmackDown, which went on for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, we didn't get to, we don't do the SmackDown podcast. It's for Marks. And yeah, I thought the roster doing the thank you taker thing was well cringe, but as pointed out by Sean Rossap, the funniest thing about it was Cesaro and Nakamura not trying, like really doing it so half-assed in the background was really funny. But yeah, it's when we did the news story last week after the last ride, the final part of the last ride, which I still haven't seen yet, came out that he's retired. We still had quite a few people getting in touch to be like, he's not retired. He hasn't retired. Like, you're reading too much into this. This is bad reporting on your part that he's not retired. I'll be honest with you. I mean, he's retired, right? Like, they kept saying that was his last match. So unless this is one ginormous work, in which case I feel like we're wasting TV time.
Yes. Well, no, it's the Popper rating. I don't think he's retired at all.
He'll be especially back for the Saudi matches to do. Yeah,
he'll be back for Saudi matches. He'll be back for cinema matches.
Yeah,
this was just a Popper rating. It's McMahon. he's lying to get ratings. But is it lying, or is it just is it telling stories? It's like how Fargo is based on a true story.
I mean, it's card subject to change. The card said he's retiring, and it's subject to change.
Yeah. After that, we got Lana approaching Ruby backstage to talk about the power of Natalia. And
she's a bad actor.
Yeah. Well, no, Lana's good in the right role, but not this role.
Well, I was rewatching the Bobby Lashley stuff for a video that we never actually got to do in the end. But I did watch like every segment that they did, and she was the best thing in that storyline. I in hindsight, she really was the best part of that storyline because she was the one who was actually giving some effort, and she was really trying to get it over. But then you kind of give her this dialogue, and she just all of a sudden becomes really bad.
It's bad material. I don't know how much we can, sort of criticize. Oh, she is a trained actor though, or she did acting. I don't know if she's trained. But yeah, she approaches Ruby. I imagine Natalia was meant to be on this in some way, but of course, Tyson Kidd was sent home because he had a fever, not coronavirus, but you've got to be safe, and anyone who is showing symptoms like that should be sent home. And because he lives with Natalia, his wife, she was also sent home.
Do you think, sorry, just on that, do you think that there is, not on the Tyson Kidd thing, but do you think there is a potential problem in Seth Rollins' character being this locker room leader, messiah character, Bayley and Banks being this SmackDown locker room leader, role model character, and Natalia being this locker room leader, messiah character for the women's division? Like there's the three people doing, or four people even, doing the same character.
Yes, I agree. I've written here, that's Seth's gimmick. But it's... I quite like that they're giving stuff to the women's division. So I'm a sort of beggars can't be choosers mentality here. I'm like, well, it's something, and it's better than what Lana was doing before.
When you're right, you're right.
Then we get a recap of Asuka versus Charlotte. There were a lot of recaps on this show. I got the sense that they were filling time because a lot of the tapings were problematic over the last week. So I don't know if that's why, but it was very recap heavy. And then we got the Peyton Royce versus Ruby Riott match. Their backstage segment earlier, I thought was really good. I thought Ruby came across great. I thought the Iconics, as always, they're so funny. They came across great. But then in this match, which was fine, it was Peyton Royce essentially squashing Ruby. It works for the story they're trying to tell, because I imagine Ruby can't do anything unless she's in the team again with Liv Morgan, in the Riot Squad. But it's not a story I like, and it's not a story I think works, because Ruby just has this awesome look. I want her to come out against the heels full of piss and vinegar, but instead she is worked over by Peyton Royce for 2 minutes, gets a brief comeback, and then loses, and then cries. And I thought it made her look lame.
I am going to use your own line against you. Beggars can't be choosers. I'm just glad to see that Ruby Riott and the Iconics are getting storylines, and at least this might actually lead for something for Liv to do. So beggars, I don't think it's the right call, but beggars can't be choosers, and at least they're getting something now.
Speaking of at least they're getting something, Andrade and Angel Garza got 2 matches.
Yeah,
2 matches to play their rubbish storyline up.
And the number 1 contenders to the Raw Tag Team Championships lost a 2-on-1 handicap match to the Big Show, because the Big Show is a bigger show star. And as soon as this match was booked, I was like, oh no, because you're not going to beat Big Show here if he's feuding with Randy Orton. So why beat your number 1 contenders? And if you're going to beat your number 1, if you're going to beat Garza and Andrade, don't make them the number 1 contenders then. Like, it's so backwards.
Yeah, this is sort of the quite obvious nail in the coffin for the tag division, and how this era doesn't care about tag wrestling. Not that it was getting a super push in the Heyman bit. It was relegated to a bunch of ridiculous skits between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. But here, I was holding out hope that Randy Orton would strike, because it was a Chekhov's gun that was set up earlier, and that would lead into Big Show losing. I don't know if in their heads they think, well, we need to keep Big Show strong for Orton. So that means, but we unfortunately booked this match, this handicap match against Garza and Andrade. So we need to give Garza and Andrade a reason to lose. Let's bring back the infighting from last week, because that's what led to the loss.
Yeah, totally. They fully believe that these two were protected in this loss because they beat themselves effectively, because their infighting cost them the match. Not the Big Show. I mean, Big Show was basically dominating anyway, and they didn't want to fight him. But yeah, I think the out that they've got is they lost the match for themselves,
which doesn't make anyone look good. And it really, really damages your number 1 contenders.
Well, does this make Big Show the number 1 contender now to the Raw tag titles?
Him and Nicholas. So after that, I thought that was the worst thing on the show, by the way, by quite some way.
Oh, can I actually say what my favorite thing on the show was? It was Peyton Royce's brainbuster, twisting brainbuster thing was wicked.
Yeah, that's what she won with. Yeah, I agree. So after this, we get Ricochet, Cedric Alexander. Nice to see them back on TV again. Backstage with Apollo Crews. I guess you could just say babyface is gonna babyface, right? Just babyfaces hanging out together. And then R-Truth comes in and talks about some nonsense about the 24/7 title. And then Apollo comes out for his match against MVP with Bobby Lashley in MVP's corner. And they actually have a really decent match, I thought. Really liked it. And then there's Bobby Lashley beats up Crews afterwards. This brings down Ricochet and Alexander for the save. Ricochet and Bobby Lashley have a match, which was also really good, I thought. And then Lashley wins.
I didn't like the Ricochet Lashley match. I know, like I've seen there's a super chat that's come in saying they loved the match. And maybe this is just because I hate seeing Rick being a job guy, but like that's all it was, and it was that's all I could think while I was watching this. Was like, you've got Ricochet signed to your company on the main roster on Raw, and this is what you're doing. Is just you're a job guy for the bigger lad. Just made me feel really, really sad for Ricochet, and just thought, what a waste. What an absolute waste of a talent you've got there. So while it was well worked and Ricochet played his role well, I don't think that's the role that Ricochet should be playing.
Yes, I totally agree. I don't know why the hill I'm choosing to die on this week is Ruby Riott. Because that should have been a more competitive match. I don't know. I've got this beggars can't be choosers mindset here. I really like seeing Ricochet wrestle when oh my God, the guy is selling.
Yeah.
And he was just being chucked around by Bobby Lashley, which is a lot of Lashley as well. It's not all Ricochet. You know, we should applaud Bobby for how far he can throw people and for Ricochet of how many flips he can do in those throws. And Ricochet's comeback. Oh, I was like, oh my God, I have missed Ricochet wrestling singles matches.
You should probably watch main event.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so what was awkward here? It was sort of like a lot of WWE's diversity has just been lumped into one segment, which is, that's fine. It felt a bit subconsciously pigeonholing. On behalf of the bookers.
I get what you mean. Yeah. Kind of in the same way that they put Asuka and Kairi Sane together as a tag team. Not because creative had nothing for them. It's just that, well, I guess you go together,
Yeah.
And let's not forget New Day, who are now like the longest reigning faction in WWE history, were put together for that reason. It's like, well, you three are African American, so you're a tag now, and you're the new nation of domination.
So I at best I think it's well intentioned. Because they're like, let's give everyone something to do, but it's not playing the best. But overall, I am so into MVP.
Oh yeah, I love this. Like him and Lashley together are so great, and like Lashley, as I said, I'm not a fan of them using Ricochet in this manner. I think Ricochet should be, he was challenging for the WWE title not a few months ago.
Oh my God. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But good, man, Bobby's great. He's so good. And his like viciousness in this match, bleeding from the ear like he's Orange Cassidy. And he's just like the intensity in the eyes was just like, oh, I'm gonna kill this poor kid. And he did. Like when he locks in that full Nelson, I think the full Nelson is such a lame 80s trope, but he's made it work. He's probably the only wrestler in the history that has made the full Nelson look good.
Yeah, it's I think everyone here, there's so much talent in this segment. And I can't believe I'm most into MVP. Who of all the surprising things to happen in 2020, who would have thought that MVP would have been one of the best mid-card acts in Raw?
Yeah.
It's a low-key surprising thing to have developed.
Particularly when he announced he'd retired.
Yes, several times. Also, on the subject of Bobby Lashley, if you haven't already, folks, go over and subscribe to Parts Fun Known, our other wrestling channel, because this week, Adam Blompier will be doing a fantasy booking, how Adam would have booked Bobby Lashley's WWE return.
Yeah, I'm sure sisters.
I don't know how they can improve on it. Yep. I said, are you sure? Because that's one of the most well-regarded returns to a company ever.
Got it right first time.
And he said, no, I'm a smartass. So after that, there was more recaps and the main event of Drew McIntyre and Asuka versus Dolph Ziggler and Sasha Banks.
Everyone got into it at the end. Again, this was like, just cut to the final 5 minutes of the match. It did get an ad break, and Banks got the hot tag in. Bayley did some distractions. Drew got a hot tag, and in the end, Banks pinned Asuka. And I really don't think that Asuka lost much in this match because she was standing tall with Drew at the start of this. I thought she actually looked really good throughout the match. But it was Banks got a sort of almost a fluke win over her. She beat her on this night. This is not in the same realm as Charlotte dominates for 90% of the match and then Asuka gets a fluke win with the armbar because Nia Jax had hurt her earlier in the night. I thought Asuka actually looked pretty good here. This is actually the best that she's looked in a while. And Sasha pinning her is to set up their match down the line. I didn't mind it at all, actually. I thought it was a really decent main event. I'm still like, there is no way you're going to convince me that Dolph Ziggler should be in the WWE title picture. But I thought Sasha was great. I thought Asuka was great. I thought Drew was great. And Bayley on commentary is just a joy to behold. When she did the no thing, I was like, God, that's lame. And then Asuka fell for it. And Bayley was like, who falls for that? Like, I did this. It's so stupid. Who would actually fall for that? What an idiot. And I was like, God, you're the best. And I love you in this heel role.
Yeah, Bayley was really, really good on commentary. Yeah, I totally agree. I think in isolation, this main event worked perfectly for what they're trying to achieve. Unfortunately, it would be so much better if Asuka had been booked as a really strong champion for the month preceding it.
100%. 100%.
So when, it was a really exciting exchange of submissions near the end, Asuka lock into bank statement, Asuka lock, bank statement, roll up. Like that made me so excited for their eventual pay-per-view match. But it does, well, I'm happy for Sasha because she's been on a tear recently. And I think she's finally getting that sort of main roster character presentation that we all hoped for when she was called up 4 years ago. I would be lying if I wasn't also a bit like, Asuka lost again.
Yeah, totally.
I've got to shout out to Drew as well. I just think Drew is amazing. There was a great bit where Sasha Banks squares off to McIntyre. Like they made me want to see McIntyre versus Banks genuinely just by that. And Dolph Ziggler gets on the apron behind Drew, and Drew, not even looking, just reaches behind him and punches Dolph off the apron. Brilliant.
Absolutely amazing. He is so great. So great.
So just talking about that main event segment, that made me think I really enjoyed the episode. But the Andrade and Garza stuff was absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, I would say it was very much an average show. I think you gave it a high average.
Yeah, because I was so into the main event by the end of it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's absolutely fair enough. I would definitely go average because, like as I said, for the I just sort of think Raw's fine at the moment. And it's absolutely fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just not really invested in a lot of the storylines and or characters. But hey, do you know what? Like, I think it is showing some people are really enjoying this period of Raw. Gorilla Position, we're talking about how, they've been enjoying Raw so much more in these last few weeks than they have been all year. So there are those people out there who are really, really enjoying this era of Raw. And I don't think that they're wrong for thinking that. And I would be too, I think, if I was just more invested in more of the storylines.
Yeah. So let's get into, before we get into all of your super chats, we've got a bumper Patreon shout out thing. So everyone who gives $25 a month or more to our pledge Patreon gets a shout out on this show. And it's the end of the month, so we've got a crap load to do. Also, if you're not a patron already, or even if you are, for $10 a month or more, our WrestleTalk After Dark podcast went up there yesterday.
Oh yeah, in which we talk about Ollie hates Will Ferrell movies.
I love Will Ferrell movies, but we worked it out. We went through his filmography. He hasn't made a good one for 10 years.
Come on, mate. I'm trying to get that clickbait title. Ollie hates Will Ferrell movies. He thinks he's a hot garbage person. I take a Disney quiz about which Disney kingdom that I should live in from a BuzzFeed article that came out like 20 years ago.
That was
and
good.
It was a really bad quiz as well. What else do we talk about? I tried to do push-ups, which it turns out I can't do. And you and Laurie try to coach me through that. Laurie gives his thoughts on the Pokemon controversies that have come out as of late about the new game. He talks about the PS5 release as well. It was a lovely time with the boys, and it was always is doing WrestleTalk After Dark. Plus, if you think, God, I'd like to hear them swear a lot, then that's the podcast for you, because it's the podcast where we do. So let's shout out some of our $25 a month or more pledge hammers who will have heard that. Also, over on WrestleTalk Clips, there will be some sneak peeks of that podcast going up tomorrow in video form.
Ooh, let's fire through these because we've got a heck load. Jordan, don't you dare call me Mountain Dew. Woo!
I won't. Living in the past, Kieran Pryor.
It's high noon, Matthew McCready.
Oh, yeah. Benjamin, always the bridesmaid, never the McBride.
Send me to heaven, Evan Reich.
Oh, Evan, great Scott.
The Anomalies, Warren.
CJ Warren, indeed. Groovy, Dylan Powers.
Ashley from Cork.
Yeah, she is. Mr. Patreon 1000, Mike Perry.
Well done, Mike Perry. Full of flavour, Sean Blanford.
What a guy. The only French guy that watches wrestling, Kane O'Mac.
The Shockmaster, Austin Schrock.
That's the Schrockmaster, Austin
Schrockmaster.
Robert F. Dangerously.
Yes. The D. John Mustard.
Yes. Dan Pierce the Veil.
The Juan and only Gabriel.
Nerf this, Eva Martinez.
Sledgehammer Power, Hero in the Half Shell.
The Joker, David Heath.
Paul the Powerhouse Beef. Macklin Jr. I thought that was a second name.
Scary, Jose Irizarry. I'm so sorry.
And definitely not Daniel Odom backwards, Modo Leonard.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you. And thank you, as always, for our wonderful moderators who are full of modichlorians. Jenna, the mod mothers in there, Matt Nennick, Field, Bumhead, Rob, Garage Art with a V, Les, usually. Thank you all so much. You are terrific. And the Super Chat doc font today is Roboto.
Yes, it is.
Offensive.
The top one is Comforter.
That's a weird one. So let's go through these. Josh Kirsch, Ricochet versus Bobby was match of the night for me.
There you go. That's what I was referring to earlier. Yeah.
Ben Isaacs, honestly, I was shocked that Carrillo allowed himself to get masked, considering he lost a Lucha de Espuestos in Mexico, and he usually respect that.
Well, he didn't put on his own mask.
Yeah, I think that's okay. It was more of an angle. Yeah, I think that's okay. E-Jam King. Hi, guys. Love your constant content. Not consistent, but constant.
Nice.
Should Seth's group get a lady to join him, maybe Liv Morgan, instead of doing nothing or becoming a tag team?
I think Liv's going to be going into a tag team back with Ruby Riott by the looks of it. But we've said this many times before, but I don't think Seth's groups need more members at the moment. Like, Austin Theory wasn't there this week, but I didn't look at that group thinking like, God, that needs more members.
Yeah, AOP are still technically members. Josh Kirsch again. I'd like to see Bobby have a long US title run.
Yeah.
I will go one better. I genuinely wouldn't mind him being the WWE champion and then facing Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely agree.
Especially if MVP was US champion. What a super faction that would be. Michael Dominguez. Raw was pretty solid. Hashtag 3-week push.
There it is, 3 weeks.
Lester Wink 23, Flair and Big Show together on Raw. What year is it?
1995.
You should have seen the one where it had Christian and Randy Orton too. Nate S. Sasha beats Asuka. Charlotte beats Bayley and Sasha in a handicap match at SummerSlam for all the belts. The path is set. Face palm emoji. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam indeed. Yeah, actually, do you know what? Like, Bayley and Sasha and Asuka in a triple threat match would be really good to set up that Bayley-Sasha match. Having said that, though, and I said this on Friday's show as well, I don't want them to have that match at SummerSlam anymore. I like them so much as a team, I don't want to see them split up.
Rose89. Did anyone notice the second lady ref? During the Ruby Royce match, she was African-American.
Yeah.
Sucks it probably cut from the Hulu feed like she never happened. I didn't see.
Yeah, they've got
anyone
two.
else.
Yeah, they've got 2 female referees now.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's fantastic. I can't believe there was such a controversy when the first one was introduced. Nate S. Peyton's finisher looked great. Loved the Iconics.
Iconic. So good.
thought-
And Billy Kay on the outside is just gold.
Have you seen the Iconics going round to loads of the roster about Billy Kay's birthday?
Is this a new one?
It came out last week, I think.
Oh, okay. Because like the stuff that they were doing last year when they were the tag champions, like telling everyone about their side plates was so good. It should have been on TV. But if they got a new one of them sort of about Billy Kay's birthday, I'm in for it.
I think it's like the 23rd of June, and they're just going round to everyone going, "Hey, Samoa Joe, what are you doing on the 23rd of June? What's your plans, mate?" And Samoa Joe will go like, "Oh yeah, 23rd of June." Like everyone pretends to know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's really funny.
Also, flawless Billy Kay impersonation.
What can I say? I'll hand over to you.
Michael Dominguez says, "How are we only 2 pay-per-views away from WrestleMania?" That's true. We've only had Money in the Bank and Snack Clash.
Did you? So in a news episode, I can't remember which one because they've all melded into one. I realized we are living through that scene in Interstellar where
Yes.
they go down to the planet and time moves quickly there, but it's like 20 years in the spaceship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian says, what if Orton